We are getting our new featured program on Friday this week, The Legends of the Franchise. And MLB The Show's Twitter has been dropping all these screenshots and images of the bosses and even some of the attributes of the players we've gotten so far. Today I want to go through all of the cards that have been announced and some of the attributes that we've shown. And for the players that we haven't seen yet, I want to take a guess at what their cards may look like since we have gotten all of the American League announced. If you guys enjoy this type of thing, tomorrow make sure I cover the rest of them that haven't been shown yet. But let's go on into the cards that we are getting and then all of the reveals that we've had so far. So if you remember yesterday on Tier List Tuesday, I talked about the players in the program. I had a gut feeling some of them would be really good options at each position. As you see in our AL East, I mainly said that like Jorge Posada would be a really good pick, and we got shown our attributes with 99 Posada before, and oh my, was I right. This is definitely a top tier catcher. Is he going to be your best catcher for your team? Maybe not, but I think switch hitting, the great power versus both sides, and, you know, good contact for an Jorge Posada card makes him a top tier catcher. For me, he's going to start so I can get that switch hitter in the lineup and not have a righty catcher. And honestly, he's going to be a better overall hitter than guys like Diego Cartaya or Francisco Alvarez. And at least with Mike Napoli's sake, Mike Napoli's only better versus righties, which, at least in Posada's sake, he's going to have the switch hitting matchup. They treated Posada very well and very nicely, made him a lot better than people expected. Same as Shawn Green. 121, 125 versus right is top tier. And then the 102, 100 is viable versus lefties. Is it going to be incredible? Probably not. You know, like Larry Walker brings more contact but less power. But you look at the two players, like comparing those two, they're very similar. And someone who wants a really good hitter versus right, Shawn Green will be great. And as you see in this current point in the game, most pitchers are righties anyway. So 121 and 125 and most at bats you're going to see is top tier. I think Shawn Green is going to be a great choice. So as you see, for two players, mainly Shawn Green and Posada, that normally don't get really good 99s, they have gotten juiced the heck out so far. So I want to go through the other cards that we've gotten in the American League and get a good idea of what we'll be seeing for these cards very likely. So 99 Wade Boggs is normally your contact and defensive type third baseman. He'll probably have maxed out basically contact versus both sides, 125 and 125. The defense will likely be high gold, or maybe in the diamonds now that he's getting a really good 99. And if they treat him even better than his card last year, they might find a way to boost his power from the low 80s or high 70s into the 90s. Like, look at George Brett this year, getting way more power than normal. Someone like Wade Boggs could have easily in the 90s or maybe touch the hundreds in power, which would make him a very underrated but fun third base option. Especially, I know some people love Wade Boggs cards. He actually might be a very viable option to take. Cy Young, on the other hand, I don't know if there's much that they can do to salvage him, only because normally Cy Young cards, he has 5 pitches and like 4 of them are breaking balls. Changeups and curveballs, screwballs. And he doesn't have enough to really work with. Like, he throws a fastball, it's usually, you know, like mid to high 90s, and then everything else is really slow in the breaking balls. So he might be effective like a Fernando Valenzuela, but probably not. Normally, Cy Young is a throwaway, unfortunately. I don't know if you can save him much. Brooks Robinson normally has underwhelming hitting, but is definitely like a Wade Boggs type hitter with the higher contact and power. You know, I think last year's card had like low hundreds in the contact to like 90s or 80s in the power. And if they bump that up a little bit more this year, they might find a way to give him like 110 plus contact, and then maybe like Wade Boggs tap into the high 90s, low hundreds in terms of the power. But he would be definitely your go-to defensive third base. If you really like a good fielder, you'll probably have like 99 everything on the fielding. So there is at least a purpose for that. Is he going to be people's pick? Probably not, but at the very least for Brooks Robinson card, he would likely be very viable at this point in the game. In terms of the AL Central, we're going to find out Cliff Lee's attributes in 16 minutes. If we do find him out, I'm going to plop them right on the screen here. But Cliff Lee will likely have sinker cutter. He'll likely have a little bit more hits per 9 than his 97 overall did last year. And he's definitely going to be the control type pitcher. Hopefully he has really good walks per 9. I mean, Cliff Lee was a really good control pitcher. If they really give him juiced walks per 9, he is going to be able to dot out there, which is going to be incredibly valuable, especially since most pitchers are really good righties right now. He'll be a great lefty to use. Alan Trammell might be like the Brooks Robinson type hitter. Usually doesn't get that great of hitting. Doesn't bring that much power normally, but brings solid contact and like gold fielding, I think. If they boost him up a little bit more, they might find a way to give him near maxed out contact. Make him like a little bit like a Cal Ripken type player. So Could be a fun shortstop type player if you are looking to find one that you really use. But again, there'll be a few shortstops that'll be like Alan Trammell. Like, he'd be probably pretty identical to 99 Ripken, so I don't know if people are going to use him. But if you need a shortstop, he'll probably be worth a try and very viable if you do well with him. Torrey Hunter getting a 99. This is definitely the first time he's getting a 99 like this. His 96 in the years past hasn't been bad. He has a great power and contact versus left, a little weaker versus righties, but has like diamond fielding in center and brings pretty solid speed, like in like the 70s and 80s in terms of speed. Him getting a 99 might make him really good versus lefties, kind of like Sean Green is versus righties, and then make him pretty solid versus righties with some little better fielding and speed. This could definitely be a top tier center field option, especially if you don't have 99 McCutchen yet. This would be a great one to use, especially versus lefties. Ray Durham is a tough one because this is his first year being in the game. However, we've had players like him in the past, like Roberto Alomar, before he did yucky things, was a favorite switch hitter, contact type second baseman, and Ray Durham getting a 99 should be a very fun option. Kind of like Brian Roberts is right now, except he might bring more contact overall to the table. Maybe they'll find a way to bring more speed to this card. I don't know what the balance is going to be, but I'm expecting switch hitting with high contact, not too high of power, and great speed, which is always a fun option to have at second base. So if you like the previous Ray Durham, I think you'll end up liking this one if you need a second baseman. Brett Saberhagen is an interesting one because normally, you know, if you saw us earlier in the game, Diamond we got this year really wasn't that great, you know, not that great on the pitch mix. However, would normally get better, like, attributes like the hits and Ks per nine and stuff. So I don't know, they could maybe find a way to add a pitch to his pitch mix or something to make him a little bit more viable in terms of the overall pitch scheme that he brings. He could be a fun little starter. Is he going to be an ace like Cliff Lee? Maybe not. Might be an underrated starting pitcher option for people where if you really are just hopping on the game later or really can't find that 3, 4, 5 starter, it'll probably be worth a try. Then in the AL West, these are the cards that we just found out today. Jared Weaver hasn't gotten a 99 since he's new to the show. However, a lot of people liked his 94. So I think he could be a very nice starter. Very slow curveball, which is a very effective pitch. And speaking of slow curveballs, Roy Oswalt is in that category as well. Edgar Martinez will likely be the high contact, pretty solid power type player. I know it's pretty much a theme for a lot of these players, but Edgar will likely be able to play first and third. He likely will have worse defense, which would hopefully mean since he's getting a 99, they boost up the hitting a little bit more. So he's actually a top tier hitter at this point in the game. So that might be the trade-off in comparison to Brooks Robinson. Brooks might have the better defense and slightly worse hitting. Edgar might bring the better hitting and slightly worse defense because he basically DH'd his entire career. Pudge is someone that has gotten plenty of 99s before, but they could find a way to juice up his power to be better than the signature series that he had gotten the last few years. If they give him like 90 plus power versus both sides, imagine like a Roberto Clemente type hitter with some solid speed and great defense at catcher. I know a lot of people are going to choose Posada, but Pudge will be a very, very viable Hall of Fame and legend option because of the contact he brings. Jared Weaver, like I mentioned, could have a very nice pitch mix. He'll have a sinker, slow curveball, probably a pretty good slider. I'm interested in what the attributes will look like, but I picture him being a pretty competitive starter at this point in the game. Ricky Henderson always is used for the speed. He's got the 99 speed and stealing usually, which will definitely be the case on this card. Normally, his hitting doesn't bring enough to the table to make people want to use him. But if you're looking for like a left field, center field option with great speed, he will likely be a very well-rounded hitter with good contact, good power. I could see them being really nice and giving him like all like around 100 on the contact and the power, which would be very fun for a Ricky Henderson card. And then Roy Oswalt usually gets a not 99, but him getting a 99 might mean that they could boost his weakness, which is normally the hits per 9. Normally doesn't bring enough of that to the table. I don't know, like 105 hits per 9. He could be a very viable starter with a good sinker, very slow curveball. And I'm interested to see what type of control he'd get. So Roy Oswalt cards are actually usually pretty fun for a lower overall diamond. And him getting a 99 means that he might be a very viable one to use this point in the game. And then we got announced our NL East players. So I think I'll put it on pause for now, what I think the attributes will look like. We'll do a part 2 once we find out all of the players that are bosses. So make sure you are subbed here and maybe we'll make that tomorrow's video where he'd go through the entire NL. But keep your eyes out on Hank Aaron, Tom Glavine, and AJ Burnett. I think they're all going to be absolute studs to give a go. So yeah, make sure you hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and let me know how you feel in the comments section on this type of video where we just sit and talk about our upcoming content. I don't really do this much, but I've started to think about how recently I've really focused a lot of my content on, you know, discussing the content and players to use in Diamond Dynasty. Maybe it'd be valuable to have some more chats where we look at upcoming content, take some guesses of what we're looking like, or at least help you guys decide who you should be looking out for in this program. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all again in the next video tomorrow. Deuces.